What's up, everybody? It is Wednesday, November the 17th, and it is time for The Wire. We are almost all the way NFL focused. We might dive into some NBA today, but there was some stuff that I think we need to talk about with the Lions, some stuff going on with Cam Newton. Is he in the Wire headline today? I think he is. Something to go on with Tom Brady. I wrote it in here. Tom the GOAT Brady, and so much more. The Wire starts right now.
I'm going in, it's first and 10. I'm a legend boy, a champion. They can't match the flows, the X's and O's. I'm breaking the code, devastation about to unfold. They calling me Derek by the way I roll. Bet you never ever seen a pro this cold. I float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. I mix with I am Mike and the great Ali. I'm a running back, believe me baby. I fathered the game, call me Daddy Brady. I'm like that, try be like this. Sammy, so that boy don't miss. It's the return of the greatest. Any way you name it, I'm everybody's favorite. I'm bringing the pain and bringing the fire. Hey, stay tuned, it's going down to the wire.
All right, folks, welcome to The Wire. We are a little short-staffed, but that doesn't mean we can't talk sports. We've got Trey and Marvin Scott in the house. How are we doing, fellas?
Doing great, man. Good to see you, fellas. Ready to roll?
Good. Ready to see you guys. Favorite time of the week.
Oh, yeah. Let's dive on in. Like I said, I brought all NFL, but we can open up to some live NBA discussion if we have the time. We're a little bit shorter today, so let's get right into it. The Detroit Lions, they broke their 12-game losing streak in the Sunday Night Football matchup that ended in a tie at 16 against none other than my former Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm not a full-on Marvin walking away from Green Bay yet, but I'm getting pretty close. The game was essentially a comedy of errors. Keep in mind, Ben Roethlisberger was out, and with this, kind of the way the season has gone so far, you would think this would be an opportunity for Mason Rudolph to step up and prove himself, but instead, he was 30 for 50. He did throw for 242 yards. He got a touchdown and an interception. On the other side, Jared Goff, he was playing on a strained oblique. He was 14 for 25, and he only had 114 yards. Pittsburgh's real only offensive weapon was one Najee Harris, not on my fantasy team, who managed to still get 105 yards rushing. We had turnovers. We had missed opportunities all over the place. Fellas, keep in mind that looking at this game from the outside, Baltimore and Cleveland both lost this week, which would have actually put Pittsburgh in a tying position with Baltimore for first place in the division had they got a win over the Detroit Lions, who had previously lost 12 games. I'm not salty. I'm an unbiased moderator here. I'm gonna send it around the horn. Marvin, why don't we get started with you, man? What is your biggest takeaway from Pittsburgh and Detroit?
Well, first off, man, it's okay to feel those emotions, man. The Packers put me through a lot back in the day, so I get it, man. I get it. I don't blame you for feeling how you do. But the biggest takeaway from this game was, the Steelers not having Big Ben and then putting Mason Rudolph in the lineup. I felt like that was a mistake from Mike Tomlin. I mean, you've got Dwayne Haskins. I feel like Dwayne Haskins is a better player than Mason Rudolph. That's just me. He played well during the preseason, so I didn't understand. Mason Rudolph has been with the team for a while, but I mean, he hasn't really done much. Even when he did have the starting job, when Big Ben was hurt that season, he didn't really do too much of anything except get into it with Myles Garrett. But this game was, just a testament to that. The Steelers don't have a plan in terms of a QB if, Big Ben goes down. Like, they don't have a guy that can game manage, the game and, get them to a win. I just didn't see that Sunday, and I don't see that going forward, if the Steelers don't have Big Ben. I know it was just, he was on the COVID list, but say he just faces another injury. I mean, they just can't lean on their backup right now. So I thought that Dwayne was going to start. This is not like I mean, you got to give the Lions credit. They fought. They're trying to win. But the Steelers came in with obviously more weapons, and all Mason Rudolph had to do was just be prepared for the moment. And it just seems like every time Big Ben goes down, they just have no plan. They just have no plan. And then for the future, they have no plan. So that was the biggest takeaway from this game. I was like, wow, even with Big Ben, the struggles he's had, the start of the season, it's just amazing that, if he's out, they can't win. And even though they didn't take an L, but I don't see them winning without Big Ben if he was out. So that's the biggest takeaway.
Absolutely. And for a man who's 39 years old, you would think sometime they might consider a backup plan, because Ben Roethlisberger is certainly no Tom Brady. I took the glasses off, so you know it's serious. Trey, what is your biggest takeaway from this game?
My biggest takeaway from this game is that the AFC is a crapshoot right now. Mason, I think Pittsburgh needs to move on from Mason Rudolph. He's never going to pan out. He is not their quarterback of the future. I think that this game, it looks like both squads were really efficient running the ball. To be honest, I did not watch this game. But for Mason Rudolph to throw the ball 50 times is absolutely ridiculous. I don't know who came up with that offensive game plan, but they should have kept feeding Najee Harris or Snell. I didn't really learn anything about either team. You would expect Pittsburgh to win this game just off their defense alone. I don't know what really happened. I think Ben Roethlisberger. To be honest with you, the yards per attempt on his pass wasn't too far off of what Ben is doing right now. Ben may have made better decisions with the football, but this game just and a side question: how come every time there's a tie bang, Pittsburgh's in the middle of it?
Oh, well, I looked that up. As far as finishing with a tie, it was 2018 the last time they did. I think last year we had one with Cleveland involved.
Okay.
I think Cincinnati had one, and then again in 2019. But yeah, it does seem like they get involved.
It seems like it's just Pittsburgh all the time with tie games.
To get a little biased for a second, the whole season last season felt that way because they had a fraudulent 11-0 record that basically screwed them out of any opportunity of making a move on a quarterback, which is what they desperately need to do. And definitely give Haskins over Rudolph and get Rudolph out of there. He should have left after the Rudolph v. Garrett won. Maybe they're just trying to box office sell the rematch. I'm not sure.
I guess.
I had the pleasure of talking with Richie behind the scenes of H2G before we got started, and he had mentioned how really it's great for Najee Harris. This could be a situation where if Ben can't come back and they decide to continue to try to foster something between Rudolph and Haskins, maybe this turns into a King Henry scenario. However, he did make a point to say Najee Harris is no King Henry.
He's no King Henry, but if football is not a difficult sport to understand. If you have a top tier defense and you can control the ball by your running game, you're gonna win games. And that's exactly especially with Ben out, that's exactly what they need to do.
Get into Najee, and that Najee, I believe, is a part of Marvin's fantasy squad. Is that correct?
Yeah,
he's mine.
Yeah.
Oh no,
he's on my squad. I played against him in my other league, and I mean, every time he touches the ball, I think he's going to score.
Yeah, he is a hot shot. I think he deserves better than Pittsburgh, but he may end up getting stuck there just because there's no quarterback game plan. All right, let's move on. Speaking of quarterbacks, something I thought was pretty exciting. He did not start. The way this is written, I realized that after I wrote it. Let me just point out, he didn't start, but Cam Newton made his return to Carolina this week. He told reporters in a post-game interview that his first day of work was Thursday. And from the way that things looked, it really didn't seem like much time had passed in regards to Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers. Carolina gave the Kyler Murray-less Cardinals their second loss with a score of 34-10. Now, keep in mind, Cam only played 7 snaps, but in that amount of time, he did have 1 passing touchdown as well as a rushing touchdown for a couple of yards. So first off, this is a 2-parter. I'd like to get your take on Cam's return and seeing a little bit of success in those 7 snaps in his first return. You know, he's been there since Thursday after what we saw, and he's been without a job for a couple of months. And then the back part of this question is, should he get the start next week against the Washington football team over PJ Walker? And I think we started with Marvin last time, so let's start with Trey.
First and foremost, it was really good to see Cam back into a Carolina Panthers uniform. It just seemed right. I think he should get the start. He's box office. His name is synonymous with the Carolina Panthers. He built them up to where they are right now. Him and Christian McCaffrey on the same page. Him and Moore on the same page. He knows the guys. He knows that stage. He built it. PJ, and he's the MVP. I don't know who PJ Walker is. I don't know where he came from. He's not a household name. He doesn't have any claim to it. He was very efficient. I mean, he was 22 of 29, 167 yards, 1 interception. But if Cam Newton can come 3 or 4, 8 yards, have 2 touchdowns, that's pretty much a Cam Newton game. That's what you're going to get. He's going to rush. He's going to pass. I think if Cam Newton just stays true to who he is, they can make it work. Carolina's defense is what's the backbone of their squad right now anyway. So if they're going to do the turnaround, they're 5-5 right now. If they're going to have a turnaround, they're going to rely heavily on their defense. Then they're going to rely heavily on Christian McCaffrey. And they just need Cam Newton to cut down on mistakes. And with him being out of the game and no one picking him up, there's really no offense with him. I think he's humbled himself to a point to where he's at a place where he just wants to enjoy the game and have fun. And if that's what they're going to be doing down in Carolina, I feel really scared for my division because they can sneak up on some of they can beat the Falcons. That's my squad. The Saints, you don't know whether they're good or bad each day, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the Bucs, but the Bucs have weaknesses. And with their running game, and with their offense and their defense, they can exploit all deficiencies in that division. So it's going to be a toss-up. And I don't know why, but the season just seems so much longer, so they have the time to do it, to turn this thing around.
Absolutely, plenty of time. Marvin, what did you make of seeing Cam Newton not only getting into the end zone, but looking out into the audience and saying very loud and clear, "I'm back to the NFL." What did you make of Cam Newton making his run back, and do you think he should get the start next week?
I loved it. I mean, like what Trey said, he is box office. And when you think of the Carolina Panthers, you think of Cam Newton. And it was just good to see like everything that he had gone through with the Patriots and just being released and all that, and him not, taking that opportunity to get down on himself or give up the game. Like he stayed in shape, stayed positive, and seeing him on Sunday doing what he does, doing what we used to see Cam Newton do, was great to watch. He's taken the Panthers to a Super Bowl. He's been the MVP. So I feel like, his name in itself has enough cachet to, get the starting job. PJ Walker is an XFL quarterback. He's just not that good. He's okay, but he's just not that good. He's not Cam Newton. The fans want to see Cam Newton. Fantasy managers want to see Cam Newton. Everybody does. So I feel like this is the perfect timing for the Panthers to turn it around. Their defense, the addition of Stephon Gilmore, and their defensive front. I just feel like they could honestly turn this thing around in that division, because you don't know what's going on with with the Saints. The Bucks are kind of falling off right now. Well, the Saints are missing Alvin Kamara. The Falcons. Sorry, Trey. They look bad. They look bad the other
No,
day, man.
they look bad.
They look bad.
Mm-mm.
They look bad. But I don't know. I don't know what it's going to take for them to turn it around next week. Just so many injuries. Y'all need Calvin Ridley back. But it looks like the division's up for grabs right now, and I think Cam Newton is more confident than he's ever been. And don't be surprised if the Panthers sneak into the wild card because it can.
A quick take. This question didn't make it into the outline. Just kind of came spur of the moment. But is this the kind of thing you need to do if you're a Cam Newton, former MVP, taking the Panthers to a Super Bowl, not a great turnout over there in New England, and now you're without a job and you come back and you get 7 snaps. Is this what you need to do with those 7 snaps?
As far as putting a reel together to make a difference, I think you need to maximize the 7 snaps. The 7 snaps, he got 2 touchdowns. And it wasn't the prettiest thing, and it's never going to be with Cam Newton, but he does what he needs to do to get the wins. Look, if they would have took before these games happened, if they would have started the playoffs, Atlanta would have got a wild card game. Now it looks like Carolina to get that wild card game. So the NFC and AFC, both divisions are up for grabs right now. And if they continue on this path and start from here and move forward, they continue to put some wins together, they could do some damage.
We may in fact have a really competitive playoff season this year. Second question on this, with Kyler Murray trying to recover from the ankle sprain, I haven't heard as of while we're recording whether or not he's going to make it to action and to work this weekend. What does Colt McCoy, keep in mind he was 11 for 20 with 107 yards, need to do to preserve this season in the meantime? Marvin.
Speaking as a Kyler Murray owner in my other fantasy league, Colt McCoy can't hold it down for the rest of the season. We all know that. Colt McCoy had great success in college in Texas, but he's not an NFL starter. I mean, he had a great game last week, but that's because when you have a backup that comes in, teams they play down to the competition sometimes. They don't really take the guy seriously, so he's not on the scouting report. But he was on the scouting report this week, and Kyler Murray being out, them preserving his health, I think they're doing the right thing. Kyler Murray reportedly says he feels great. He's optimistic about coming back. Ankle feels real good, but they're looking at the big picture. Cliff Kingsbury and the coaching staff, they're looking at the big picture, which is smart because DeAndre Hopkins was also banged up with a hamstring injury. So they're looking at the long-term view. They got the bye coming up next week, so I imagine that Colt McCoy will get one more start, and Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins get healthy through the bye, and they'll come back because they understand that the Rams have just added Odell Beckham Jr. Seahawks got Russell Wilson back, even though they put up a bagel against the Packers the other day. We'll talk about them later. That was just disgusting. And the 49ers was gaining momentum. So, when you look at it, Kyler Murray will be back, and the offense will probably move it, it'll be more efficient than what it is now, because Colt McCoy can't get the job done. But I think that the Cardinals are doing the right thing by, holding DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray out right now.
Trey, same question, yeah.
I'm going to say this is less about Colt McCoy holding the season down and more about Kingsbury doing what he needs to do to ensure a level of success that his team is achieving right now. What I mean by that is Colt McCoy threw for 20 times and they ran the ball 17 times. as a team. They ran the ball 20 times and they threw the ball 29 times as a team. If you want to have success where Kyler Murray is out, you're gonna have to. You can't swing the ball. You're gonna have to run the game. You're gonna have to run the ball, and you're gonna have to use play action passing off of that to get it to the receivers that you have, which they have a plethora of receivers. You got to make it easy for him. He is not. If he was a great quarterback, then he'd start somewhere, but he's not. He is what he is. He hasn't been a great quarterback since 2007. That's just who he is. So if you want success while Kyler Murray's out, you need to set your team up. How do you do that? You coach your defense up, you make sure they're stingy, and you play off your running game. You have the backs to do it. They're not elite backs, but you have a stable of backs back there. You got Connor. He's serviceable. You got Ben. You have that. So I do think that it's less about Colt McCoy being in those situations and more about Kingsbury setting the team up for success.
Absolutely. Folks, we want to know what you think. Let us know in the comments below on Facebook and YouTube. Make sure you check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and where all audio podcasts are found. Folks, we've been putting up Q&As and another, what do they call it? Like a poll on the audio podcast. Chime in there. I do need to shout out one of our fans, and I don't want to get it wrong. I think it's Shia. Listens in. Huge fan of Sahe, who we're missing this week. But Sahe, we know you're watching at home. You got a fan that's a big fan. She's a big fan of the show in general. We thank you for tuning in every week. All of you. We'll be right back. When we come back, we got some more NFL. Don't go anywhere. You're watching The Wire and listening to The Wire.
The H2G Podcast, Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tune in to H2G to hear us talk about the real topics like the heartbeat law, social media, and more. The H2G Podcast, Season 7, every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
I'm not forgetting about the patrons, but I'm sometimes forgetting about the patrons because they're not here yet. We haven't had anybody join, so I'm gonna have to release all this BTS footage as one long ass video.
Yeah.
All right, let's bust this out. We can get back into the film talk. Welcome back to The Wire, everybody, gentlemen. We are NFL focused for the most today, and that is because there were just some games that really stuck out to me. The next one I want to get into, the reigning Super Bowl champs moved to 6-3 now, as they lost 29-19 to the Washington football team. Just pause, little road stop right here, rest area. They still don't have a fucking name. Anyway, Tom the Goat Brady was 23 for 34, 220 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. On the other side, Taylor Heineke was 26 for 32. He had 256 yards and a touchdown. Let's do the same thing. Let's start with the biggest takeaway from the matchup, and I think we're back to Marvin here.
I was kind of stunned, but this happens, any given Sunday. The Washington football team came out and they stuck to the run game. Antonio Gibson shocked me. I have him in my other league, but he went off and had 2 touchdowns. And when they said he was pretty much done for the season with a shin injury that he can't seem to get over, but didn't seem like that bothered him this week. He ran all over the Bucs, which was shocking because the Bucs have been known for their, stout rush defense. So it was just kind of crazy that they weren't really able to get any stops. But Tom Brady's he hasn't really been playing. He really hasn't been playing well, for the most part. But I think that's just him being absent of weapons. AB has still been out. Gronk has been out. Godwin's been dealing with an injury too. But, so their offense has been, kind of capped. So it's not the Bucs don't need to hit the panic button. I think they'll be fine. But they definitely got to make some adjustments on defense because either they're playing down to opponents or they're just not, or it's the injuries. But they gotta get it together, or this is going to be a hole they can't come out of. So hopefully they can get the guys back. But we'll see what happens next week.
Trey, we know there's no Tom Brady slander from your part of the studio here on the Wire, but they are 6-3 now. Is there some cause for concern here? What's your biggest takeaway from the matchup?
You're right. There is no Tom Brady slander. But what happened is they had a bad game. That's just all it is. People, because the Washington is 3-6, people are forgetting that they have an elite front seven on the defense. They have a gunslinger for a quarterback, Heineke, who will take chances down the field and is not scared to make plays. And like I said earlier, they have some glaring holes in Tampa Bay. They are not. People made it seem like this year that their defense was so elite. Their defense came together at the right time. And for whatever reason, Tom Brady galvanized the troops and they got it done. But it's not like they were invincible. They have holes at I don't say they have holes at receiver because I feel like that makes it seem like they don't have one of the top receiving cores. They are about 5 deep at receiver. They have tight ends, they have running backs, and they have defensive players. So there was no excuse for this loss. It was just a bad loss. Washington did what they had to do. They put some runs together. You're right, Gibson had a monster of a game. I don't know why, but I feel like he just needs to be. They just need to go ahead and make him their quarterback of the future because he can throw the ball. And that's just what it was. They got caught in the trap.
Absolutely, Marvin. We have said the word blueprint many times this and last season of The Wire regarding the Bucs defense exposing some secrets in Kansas City. Do you think that Tampa Bay needs to worry about other teams watching this game on the tapes? Because I got an interesting fact. This is real statistical. This is old school, Justo's best or beach best sports statistics here. But Brady only saw 21% man coverage from the Washington defense, which is the lowest it's been for him since 2016. There's something different about the way they handled defending Tom Brady. We saw a shift in what Kansas City was able to do this year, and we've talked about blueprint there. Do you think it's something the Buccaneers need to focus on?
Yeah, because it's gonna rear its ugly head in the postseason. If they don't get it together. I mean, in that department. It's like Trey said, even though they were absent of weapons, you still expect Tom Brady to get it done with, some of the, above average players that he has, with the Bucs. So really, I think what it is, it's the defense. Defense is not, with the injuries, is not living up to the standard that we thought they were going to, that we thought they were going to have going into the season. No, there's been a lot. So they've had some glaring holes, especially in the secondary. So if they don't clean up, that statistical category, as you said, and the defensive woes, I mean, they're not gonna make it to the Super Bowl. We saw what the Cowboys did to the Falcons. Sorry, Trey, but we saw what the Cowboys did to the Falcons, and the defense for the Cowboys is, they've been impressive all season. Minus that game against the Broncos. But if they meet again, the Bucs and the Cowboys meet again, and the Bucs are still struggling the way they are now, Tom Brady's looking at not getting that 8th ring. So I don't know.
Oh boy, it was almost unquestionable for some folks at the start of the season. Trey, what do you think, man? We've talked a lot about blueprints. Do you think that the Buccaneers need to be cognizant that some defenses may have been taking a look at how Washington football handled things this week?
You can take a look at it all you want to, but the Washington football team has the defense to do what they did. I mean, you just don't go around with a elite defense. Everybody doesn't go around with a elite defense. If they did, then it's going to be a lot harder. But I think we all know the blueprint when it comes to Tom Brady. If you give him the tapping his toes, then you can throw him off his game. And that's always been the case. That's how the Giants win their Super Bowls. That's how you beat Tom Brady. You make him move in the pocket. You get him uncomfortable. With the front seven of Washington, that's exactly what they did. They didn't play man because I don't think that they don't feel as strong with their back, with their DBs. But they stuck to what their strength was, which is their front seven, and they got to Tom Brady. They made him uncomfortable, and they covered up the mistakes with DBs. This is the way that you beat Tom Brady. It's hard to do. It's easier said than done. I understand that, but it's not like it's some magical formula. It's the same formula that's always been for the past 20 seasons.
And for the next 20 seasons, because the man's have been. All right, let's move on. I love how everything just segues so smoothly this week. We talked about Tom Brady. Let's talk about the New England Patriots, who are now on a 4-game winning streak. They improved to 6-4 this week when they just destroyed the Cleveland Browns. Final score 45-7. I don't get to say just destroy very often this season, but Mac Jones, man, he was 19 for 23. He had 198 yards. He had 3 touchdowns. Ooh, I don't want to get it wrong. Rahamondre? Wrong? Close? Stevenson?
Yeah, that's Rahamondre.
Rushed for 100 yards and another pair of touchdowns. Do keep in mind, Cleveland was absent Mayfield. They didn't have Chubb, at least that I didn't see on the stats, among other injuries that I'm sure that you guys will get into. My first, obviously, we want to go around and get your takeaway from Cleveland losing this bad to the now 4-game strong New England Patriots. Let's start off with Trey. Or wait, did we just come off for you? Yeah, let's go to Marvin. Sorry. Go for it, Marvin.
Oh, well, I mean, it's just like what you said, them being absent of Baker Mayfield and Nick Chubb, they weren't going to do anything against a Patriots defense that's been very impressive all season. They've had one of the best rush defenses in the league, one of the best pass defenses in the league. Them going into this game I thought it was going to be low scoring because both offenses with 2 good defenses. I thought that would, kind of balance out the game. But with Baker Mayfield being out and them and putting Case Keenum in the game, Bill Belichick, he's made a field day of making an example of backup quarterbacks, especially Case Keenum. So they weren't going to have any success, and it was just kind of a disappointment for the Browns defense. Even though the offense couldn't really do much, so it kept the defense on the field. But I expected them to get to Mac Jones and pressure him a lot more, especially since the Browns have been good at them all season. They haven't really allowed more than 16 points a game. And that's a stat to highlight, and that changed on Sunday. So we'll see going forward, what the Browns can do from here. Baker Mayfield's injury is something to look at. He's been banged up all season with the shoulder, with the knee. Nick Chubb has been in and out all season. Their offense has really taken a hit. And I'm not a diehard Browns fan, but I like seeing them win. I like to see Ohio teams do well. But I will say this, the Browns are about 5 pieces away. If you subtract 5 pieces from this team, they're close to being the old Browns if they keep it up. That's what's scaring me. I don't want them to go back to what they used to be, because if you it only takes big losses like this for them to go down a rabbit hole as a franchise. So I hope that this Baker Mayfield injury is not more serious than what it is, because the Patriots embarrassed them, but you hope this is not going to be a week in and week out thing. Hopefully the Browns can get it together. If Case Keenum has to be the starter from here on out, he's got to be a game manager. I mean, you've got one of the best defenses in the league. So, we'll see what happens.
Trey, what do you think, man? This is probably not the score that we expected. given the defenses involved. But what do you make? What's your biggest takeaway of Cleveland versus New England?
Cleveland didn't have their starters, and Cleveland didn't have their starting quarterback. And, what's the coach's name for New England?
Bill Belichick.
Bill Belichick. He's got 6 rings, and we know what he is against quarterbacks. If you give him a week to dial up against a quarterback who's unproven with his defenses, and his offense is not going to commit any turnovers, then this is what you're going to get. It's Bill Belichick. I think because he lost Tom Brady, that people forgot that he's a great coach, and they like to go back to his time with the Browns, and they like to go back to his other exploits with the team before the Browns, with the Giants. But if you're going to give him a week, he's going to figure out how to beat. He's going to take your best offensive weapon away. He's going to lock you down defense. And this is what you're going to do.
Absolutely. That spurred another question that's not on the outline, so I apologize, guys. You got to think on your toes. But who do you give the rights of success to on the Patriots? Is it Bill Belichick for his schemes and his way of the defense, like you mentioned, or is this in Mac Jones' hands, who had an incredible day? Marvin?
This is Bill Belichick. This is Bill Belichick putting his team in a position to win. I mean, Mac Jones had a good day, but I think if you take that coach out of that equation, I don't think Mac Jones is as successful because he is a rookie quarterback, still going through his progressions. And the fact that he has one of the greatest coaches of all time to guide him says a testament to his game. So I think that, the credit should go, majority of it should go to Bill Belichick, but you can't ignore the fact that Mac Jones is an extension now of Bill Belichick on the field the same way. Tom Brady. I'm not saying Mac Jones is Tom Brady, but I'm just saying when you are the quarterback playing under Bill Belichick, you are an extension of him on the field. So Mac Jones is in great hands with a great coaching staff, legendary coaching staff. So, you got to give it to Bill Belichick. This is what he does. He puts his team in a position to win. And so as long as the Patriots are competitive, as long as he's the coach, he's going to put Mac Jones in positions where he can be successful.
Trey, do you tend to agree with that statement?
I do. I mean, yeah. As long as Coach Belichick is Mac Jones, and Mac Jones has the talent. Let's not forget that. He definitely has the talent, but as long as he listens to Bill Belichick and they follow that Patriot way, and he does it exactly the way Bill Belichick designs it up, then they're going to have success.
Now, let me ask you guys this. With the AFC sitting the way it is, and currently we're 10 weeks into the season, it really has become an any team's race to the end at this point for the AFC. Do you think that Belichick has an opportunity here to make a decent playoff run this season?
It's anybody's game. It's literally anybody's game. Like I was saying earlier in both the SEC, with so many games left, we don't know who's going to turn around. We don't know who's going to fall. And then injuries have a big the football gods have a big part to play in all of it. So it's been an exciting season, and I'm expecting some exciting playoff games.
What about you, Marvin? What do you think, man? Do you think Belichick's got an opportunity here?
Yeah, I think he's got a shot in that division. I mean, when you look at it, I think they've got a great shot at making the wild card if they can continue to keep it up. Like Trey was saying, it's a long season, so a lot of teams that have had hot starts could fall. A lot of teams that have gotten off to bad starts could, catch fire and, race for that wild card. It's all about who wants it more. So it's going to be interesting to see, with the next what, 6 weeks left of the season, teams make a strong push. And I think the Patriots are one of those teams that can make a strong push because of their defense.
All right. Well, I know I said we'd open up for NBA, but we got a little bit of time here, and then we're going to run out. So I actually have another game I pulled up, and it's because I never make amends. When we all make amends, I never do it because I'm hosting, right? So I don't have to do that. I am going to make amends and bring this game to the table because I can't even say the score without making the amends. We don't do Tom Brady slander on the wire, but we have been slandering one Patrick Mahomes, and he seems to have at least turned it around this week against the Las Vegas Raiders. He put up 406 yards with 5 touchdowns. He did also throw the ball 50 times, but he connected 35 of those times. No interceptions this week. I didn't see any fumbles on the stat sheet anywhere. Guys, what do you did you expect it to go this way with Derek Carr out there? And what do you make of this Kansas City Las Vegas matchup? Whoever wants to start it off.
I think the city was crazy. I was out here. The city was crazy. I will say, I think Patrick Mahomes had a great game, but if you really sit back and watch some of the passes that he made, he still made bad decisions. They just happened to work out. So this was his magic up until this season when defenses started learning. But he made I think he made a couple of left-handed throws. He threw into double, triple coverage. Like, he made some really bad stuff. He tried to check. I saw what they tried to do. He was doing a lot of checkdowns, but he can't get rid of that itch to just make bad throws. But it worked out this week. So kudos to him.
Marvin, we talked about how Las Vegas shouldn't be ignored. Did you expect this game to go the way it did?
No, I was shocked. I was not expecting the Chiefs to really kind of turn it around. I really thought that they were heading into a hole, especially with the way Patrick Mahomes has been playing. He's thrown an interception in every game he's played in. And Derek Carr has been trending up. Derek Carr has been actually a top 10 quarterback this season. You got to give him his credit. Playing with, all the circuit. Yeah. I was there. I'd make my amends to Patrick Mahomes this week because I really thought that they were trending in the wrong direction. But Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. I honestly didn't see this coming because the Chiefs have one of the worst defenses in the league. So it was shocking. But the Raiders are absent of weapons. They don't have Henry Ruggs anymore. Aaron Waller can't do everything. This is just a bad game for the Raiders, but I think that they'll be all right.
All right. Well, I'm not going to slander on them this week. Obviously, I'm not scared to do it, but she's at home. She's probably smiling because Patrick Mahomes did have an incredible day. Why don't we go ahead and tee this up for next week? Because I sense some hesitation from Marvin. I bet when we get Sahe and Richie in here, we probably tune it up a little bit. Let's do top 5 quarterbacks next week. How about that? And another thing that we gave the dues to the offense. Let's break down defense a little bit more next week. I know we got into defensive ends and defensive tackles, but let's break into defense a little bit more, unless there's another week of crazy games. Fellas, did you have anything else you want to talk about before we roll? Oh, you're on mute.
Free Rajon Rondo. He needs to start.
Yeah. Russ needs to talk to any Laker legend that there is and have a deep conversation about what counts the most. Because Russ is Russ, man. Like, he makes me want to bang my head against the wall sometimes. Like, I just don't understand his decision making. I watched the game the other night, and the Lakers were up. All the Lakers had to do was just like play the clock. And it just seemed as if Russ just, I don't know, man. It's not like he's trying to save the day, but he just melts down in just like the worst, most crucial moment. And you're like, why, Russ? Why turn over the ball now? Like we're literally about to win. It's like he can't help himself. So I hope that I'm praying that the Lakers can really turn this around, that they can develop more chemistry. LeBron can come back. Rondo get more minutes, take the ball out of Russ's hands. Russ needs to come off the bench. I've had this long rant about Russ prepared. I don't have enough time, but please, Russ, if you can hear us from the wires, stop turning over the damn basketball. Please.
Stop taking jump shots when you know you can't shoot. Why are you taking jump shots in less than a minute? And not only just bad 3-point shots. You had Carmelo at the top of the. I'm not gonna get into it because this pisses me off.
Can't be here all day, man. Like, we can,
65% at home, and he's at the easiest 3-point shot you can make at the top of the key. But you wave him off and take a contested. And you can't shoot.
It's comical, man. It's comedy. I'm telling y'all. When you pull up some Russ highlights, and I mean, because I got my dude trolling me every day. He's like, man, you see Russ? I'm like, man, I don't want to look, bro. I don't want to look. That's not basketball.
Man,
that's
we
not
were
Let's not give it to the high percentage guy. Let's just take this bad 29%.
He reminds me like I've been a shooter in basketball and in life, and he reminds me like of myself, like if I'm just jacking up shots, like, man, Marv, pass, what you doing? Like just shooting from anywhere, like hits the other side of backboard. I mean, he's got a lot of low lights, man. I maybe we can trade him, Trey, Justin. Maybe at the deadline the Lakers could do something. I mean, you got to give him I'll give him to December 16th. I give him one more month. So I've seen enough.
Man.
We have traded the disrespect. We took it off of Patrick Mahomes and we shifted it right over to the Lakers.
Talking about it.
One thing I did forget before we pop out of here, TJ Watt went down in that game this week. TJ Watt, obviously one of the star defensive players of the Pittsburgh Steelers, down and did not come back. So we'll have to keep an eye on that as well. That could be a big impact to an already sinking ship. So we'll see what happens there. Make sure you following us on Facebook, on YouTube. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Anchor FM, and we want to thank Anchor FM for making this possible for us. And if you've been trying to figure out how do I start a podcast, that's the place to go. It's free. It links up to Spotify. They are the same company. They will get you distributed instantly to all of the platforms. You won't have any trouble there. You can edit it right on the website. If you don't have any editing background, you can make your podcast happen right there at anchor.fm. We owe them a lot. They've made this possible, so we're super excited. Let us know what you think about the stories. And if there's anything you'd like to see us go at it about next week in the comments in the review section. And that's it for The Wire. We'll see you this Wednesday and every Wednesday. Oh, don't forget, H2G podcast comes on Fridays. And this one is a whopper as well. Went over most significant events in human history. So great conversation there, and more to come. We'll see you soon.